Good evening and welcome, ladies, gentlemen, inductees, and honored guests. As president of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame, it is my pleasure to greet you on behalf of the Board of Directors, past inductees, and members of the Hall. This is the 34th annual dinner and induction ceremony, and as you will see throughout the night, from the local to world stage, the success and recognition these inductees have achieved is fantastic. I would like to take this time to acknowledge and thank our sponsors and supporters. Without their loyal, that was a hard word, support, this event would not be a possibility. Also, a big thank you to all the past inductees who grace us with their presence. Each and every one of you helped make this night a possibility. The members who donate their time and skills to make up the Hall's Board of Directors are great. Volunteering together throughout the year, utilizing teamwork, patience, and massive communication enables this evening to be a special and memorable moment. Also, thank you to the added volunteers who give a much-needed extra hand for this evening's event. Thank you to Kevin Waugh and Simon Hyatt for taking time out of your busy schedules to be part of this evening. Thank you to Bob Florence and Mark Tennant, who put out the Saskatoon Hall of Fame's newsletter 4 times a year, always something worth reading. It is with considerable pride that the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame welcomes all new inductees into the Hall this evening. Everyone, please enjoy the evening. Thank you. I'm going to do this first. Now it is my pleasure to introduce this year's Sport Organization of the Year. This year, the 1989 Jeux Canada Games Foundation is the Sport Organization of the Year. This recognition comes as a result of 8,500 volunteers who helped stage the best ever Canada Summer Games as measured by any criteria. Among the many legacies, such as major additions to Harry Bailey Aquatic Centre, softball and baseball diamonds, tennis, new boathouse, soccer fields. There were also other substantial community gains such as the promenade in Kiwanis Park, clock tower, tribute to youth sculpture, and a massive portable stage. The most significant legacy came from establishing the 1989 Jeux Canada Games Foundation. This was made possible from a profit generated by the Games of $1.3 million. This foundation has been governed by a volunteer board of directors with a mandate to improve and advance amateur sport in Saskatchewan, regardless if their sport was directly involved in the Games or not. Today, the assets exceed over $1 million. Worthy to note, since the foundation was established in 1989, an excess of $3 million was distributed to 252 amateur sport organizations in Saskatchewan. Some organizations which received funding would include the Shaw Centre, Maris Belcher Ice Arena, Gordie Howe Sports Complex, Alpine Saskatchewan Association, Coaches Association of Saskatchewan, Humboldt Calico Gymnastics Club, La Loche Friendship Centre, Marion Gymnastics Club, Regina Optimist Dolphins, Regina Rowing, Saskatchewan Athletics, Saskatchewan Baseball Association, Saskatchewan Fencing Association, Saskatchewan Table Tennis Association, Saskatoon Line Speed Skating Club, Saskatoon Rowing Club, Saski Skiing, YMCA Sports Council, and many more. Allow me to present the 2019 Sport Organization of the Year to the 1989 Jeux Canada Games Foundation, which is being represented by their president, Albert Lavoie. I don't know. I just want. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Albert, and thank you to the 30 years ago Jeux Canada Games, one of the most successful, and thank you very much for the foundation. They have helped many sport organizations, not only in the city but the province. Thank you very much. Those were wonderful memories 30 years ago. Wow. We age well. Time now for the citation reader, and Simon Hyatt can come up. This is the moment of truth that you've all been waiting for, some of the old pictures that they've dug out of you. Simon, of course, is from Saskatoon, graduated from Walter Murray, University of Saskatchewan. He started at Shaw Television back in 1997. Since then, he's covered news, sports, entertainment, and human interest stories as a reporter. And of course, away from Shaw, which he never is, but he's an award-winning filmmaker. He does play-by-play of the Husky basketball teams and also did play-by-play of the Rattlers when they clinched their first ever Canadian Elite Basketball League Championship this past August. So Simon, come on up. And just before he starts, His Honor will hand out the medals tonight to each inductee, and then you'll shake, and then you'll just proceed down the line. Saying that, we're in for a real treat tonight. Welcome Simon Hyatt from Shaw, our citation reader for 2019 again. Simon?
Thank you, Kev.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Kevin. It's great to be here once again. And now let's meet this year's inductees. Welcome into the Builders category of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for his contributions to softball, Lawrence Beatty. For more than 30 years, Lawrence has been a force for softball. His record of winning on the diamond is matched only by his commitment to organizing it away from the field. Lawrence was born in Saskatoon in 1958. As a young man growing up in the city, he played hockey and golf in addition to the sport that would define his athletic career. He began coaching at an early age, first in the Saskatoon Minor Softball League in 1985. He remains involved with the league to this day, currently helming a women's team in the SASA. In 1994, he began a lengthy career as an executive at the local level. With the SMSL, he served as second vice president for 11 years before becoming president, a post he held for 6 years. Lawrence joined the SASA Executive Council in 2011, and he continues to serve as the women's coordinator, which includes scheduling games for 20 to 25 teams across 3 divisions annually. At a provincial level, as part of the SMSL, he has hosted multiple Saskatchewan provincial championships. He's volunteered at countless camps and evaluations, and served as a mentor coach with the Softball Saskatchewan Sask First program. He has also led teams as a coach in more than 20 different provincial championships. Among the highlights, 10 gold medals and numerous silver and bronze. His achievements haven't been limited to just our provincial borders. He's coached at Western Canadian Championships 10 times, bringing home 2 silver and 1 bronze. And when the big events came to Saskatoon, Lawrence was at the forefront. He served as host chairman at the 2011 Bantam Western Canadian Championship, as well as being a part of the host committee for both the first ever Pee Wee Westerns in 1999 and the 2007 Western Canadian Masters Championship. Saskatoon has successfully played host to numerous national and international softball events as well, thanks in large part to contributions from Lawrence. Since 2005, he has been a part of 9 Canadian championships, typically looking after the area of games control, responsible for scorekeepers, announcers, and statisticians. In 2008, he introduced live streaming at the Senior Men's Championships, paving the way for fans around the world to be able to tune in, as the practice has been adopted at multiple events. Lawrence has also been recruited by Softball Canada to lend his expertise as a tournament supervisor at a number of events across the country, including the Canada Games in Winnipeg in 2017 and championships in Ontario and Quebec. He's also coached at 5 national events. He has been equally as active at the international level. 3 times he has served as host committee director or manager for World Championships in Saskatoon. He was also invited to run games control in Whitehorse, Yukon for both the 2014 Junior Men's and 2016 Senior Men's Championship. Away from the diamond, he has played and coached hockey, worked as an off-ice official for the Saskatoon Blades, and volunteered at multiple events including Briar's, World Junior Hockey Championships, and the Memorial Cup. His dedication to softball has been recognized with awards for Softball Canada Volunteer of the Year, Softball Sask Awards for Service and Fair Play, and the Darren Lipinski Memorial Award. He is also a 4-time recipient of the SMSL Nels Rissling Executive of the Year Award. Please welcome Lawrence Beatty into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. And now welcome into the Builders category of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for his contributions to wrestling, Dale Clancy. Whether it was in local gyms with competitors just beginning their careers, or being the arbiter when it came time to determine who would compete at the Olympic Games, Dale Clancy had the final word when it came to wrestling in Saskatoon. He was born in Saskatoon in 1957 and began competing as a wrestler in 1971 and continued to grapple through 1979 in a career that saw him compete for both Walter Murray Collegiate and the University of Saskatchewan. As a youngster, he also golfed, played baseball and fastball, and became a first-degree black belt in judo. He began officiating while still competing. U of S coach Chess Anderson and team captain Gil Wist suggested he give it a shot when they learned he was looking to make some extra cash in his first year of university. Little did anyone know that recommendation would lead to 4 decades of involvement as an official. In the early going, he kept the peace at local events for the Saskatchewan High School Athletic Association and Saskatchewan Amateur Wrestling Association events and championships, in addition to university matches. But it wasn't long before his expertise was in demand provincially, nationally, and internationally. He worked at both Canada West events and championships at the university level and the Western Summer Games. In all, Dale has officiated at 112 national championships during his 36 years as a member of the Canadian Amateur Wrestling Officials Association. This has included 32 senior, 21 junior, 22 juvenile, 18 cadet, and 10 CIS Canadian championships. He has also served as an official at 4 Winter Summer Games and has been involved during 3 different Olympic trials in Canada. His passport has also been stamped several times thanks to wrestling, as he has officiated in Australia, the Dominican Republic, and Japan. He has worked 60 international events, including the 87 and 91 World Cadets, the 98 and 02 FISU World Championships, the 03 Pan Am Games, the 93 and 98 Pan American Championships, and the 93 and 2011 Commonwealth Championships. Dale's involvement as an executive has been nearly as prolific. He has served on both the Saskatchewan Amateur Wrestling Association's board and as president of its Officials Association. With the Canadian Amateur Wrestling Officials Association, he has served in a number of roles, including board member, clinician, treasurer, president, and past president. He's also been a part of the Canadian Amateur Wrestling Association as a board member and member of the Tech Committee. Dale has already been recognized for his commitment to the sport with several awards. He received the 1995 CAWA Gold Maple Leaf Award and the 1996 Sask Sport Volunteer Award. He received the 2001 SSAD Service Award and has been named SAWA Official of the Year. Please welcome Dale Clancy into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations. And now welcome into the Builders category of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for his contributions to hockey, Dave King. In rinks in Saskatoon and around the world, Dave has led teams to glory at the amateur and professional level and has helped create the next generation of coaches as well. Dave was born in North Battleford in 1947. As a young man in Saskatoon, he excelled at football, hockey, slow pitch, and track. But it was as a coach where he would truly make his mark. That career began as an assistant under his father Robert with the Greystone Heights community team. His association with the University of Saskatchewan Huskies began in 1972 when he was named an assistant. After stints as a teacher and coach at Aidan Bowman, and coaching at the Bantam, Junior B, Junior A, and Western Major Junior Hockey League levels, he returned to the U of S in 1979, this time as head coach. The partnership was a highly successful one. After leading the Huskies to a third-place finish in year one, the mark improved to number 2 in the conference the following year, a season that also saw the Dogs claim silver nationally. They repeated that achievement the following year, and then in 1983, the team took the big prize as Canadian Inter-University champions. They also won 3 straight Canada West championships in this stretch. At the WHL level, he was also able to work in his adopted hometown, serving as an assistant with the Blades during the 76-77 season. The following year, he took the head job with the Billings Bighorns, where he would remain for 2 successful seasons. King was named Coach of the Year in 1978 after guiding the team to a berth in the WHL final, losing to the eventual Memorial Cup champions, New Westminster. All of these achievements, including winning 2 provincial titles as coach of the Junior B Quakers, made Dave an obvious candidate to coach at the international level. His winning ways continued at the World Juniors. He led Canada to its first ever gold medal in 1982 in Minnesota. His squad followed that up with a bronze in 1983. King then became the natural choice to coach Canada's national team, first as an assistant in 82 and 83, then taking over as head coach in the mid-80s. The team won gold at the 1987 Izvestia tournament, and he has led Canada's Olympic squad more often than any other man, taking to the biggest athletic stage in the world 3 times. His teams came in 4th in both 1984 and 1988, before claiming a spot on the podium in 1992, winning silver in Albertville, France. When the pros came calling, he was able to work a little closer to home. He was named head coach of the Calgary Flames in 1992, a post he held through 95. He guided the Flames to back-to-back Pacific Division titles in 94 and 95. He then served as an assistant coach with the Montreal Canadiens from 1997 through 99. After a stint as the director of European scouting for the Canadiens, he was drawn back into the coaching ranks to help guide a brand new team. He became the first head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets in 2000, a position he held until midway through the 02-03 season. King's varied career has included consulting with the Japanese Hockey Federation and serving as GM for the Japanese national team. He coached Hamburg in the German Elite League and became the first Canadian to coach in the Soviet Elite League, an experience he chronicled in a book he co-authored called King of Russia, A Year in the Russian Super League. He has become one of the most respected figures in hockey around the world, both for his own achievements as well as those of the men he has mentored along the way as players or assistants, including Dave Tippett, Mike Babcock, Willie Desjardins, Mark Habscheid, and Dave Adolph. Dave's achievements have been honored with several Coach of the Year awards. He was the 1991 Hockey News International Sportsman of the Year, received the Order of Canada in 1992, and has been inducted into the Canadian Olympic Hall of Fame, the International Ice Hockey Hall of Fame, and the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. Please welcome Dave King into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations. And now welcome into the Builders category of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for his contributions to multiple sports, Johnny Marciniak. He has never sought the spotlight for himself, but from football to basketball to soccer to basically every sport imaginable, Johnny has had a hand in making sure they all went off without a hitch, so others could shine. And when it came time to reshape sporting facilities in the city, he was there to lead the charge. Marciniak was born in Hafford, Saskatchewan in 1961. It's difficult to say where he has had the greatest impact, but high on the list would be high school athletics. He has been involved with the Saskatoon Secondary School's Athletic Directorate for more than 30 years, with a focus on making sure others received their due, a theme that has become common in his career as he is the organizer of the annual Coaches Appreciation Luncheon. Johnny has organized and assisted with countless city high school championships, running the gamut of the sporting landscape, including football, track and field, volleyball, soccer, basketball, wrestling, badminton, golf, and cheerleading. He has also served as the city's delegate for the SHSAA AGM for 30 years. He has been the quarterback for the Kinsman Football League for the past decade, providing opportunities for youngsters to play the game as a director, organizer, and member of the KFL. Johnny has been in charge of the management and coordination of equipment, inventory, distribution, maintenance, and storage. Marciniak has also served the game as an executive member of Saskatoon Football Incorporated, the umbrella organization responsible for youth flag, touch, and tackle football programs in the city. He is in charge of game day operations when the Hilltops and Valkyries take the field, and held the same position for both the 2015 and 2018 CJFL Canadian Bowl. His skills as a track and field official have been highly sought after as well, as he has worked numerous events, including the Knights of Columbus Indoor Games, University of Saskatchewan Sled Dog Relays, and the Aboriginal Indoor Games. Johnny's contributions at the provincial level have been just as significant and exhausting. He has been involved with the Saskatchewan High School Athletic Association for 30 years, hosting and organizing numerous championships in 10 different sports. He received the SHSAA's highest honor in 2014, the Merit Award, recognizing his leadership and service. Earlier this decade, when a movement began to improve the football field and clubhouse at Gordie Howe Bowl, it quickly grew into something much bigger. Johnny was among the visionaries who launched the Friends of the Bowl campaign. An $11.5 million fundraising campaign led to the rejuvenation and redevelopment of the football facilities, as Saskatoon minor football field at Gordie Howe Bowl was born. He oversaw and managed the installation of several elements, including field turf, new lights, a scoreboard, sound system, and press boxes. New facilities also include a 24,000 square foot clubhouse and 5,000 square foot warehouse for storage. More than 6,000 participants have used the facilities for more than 1,600 hours under Johnny's coordination. He is also operations manager for other new developments at Gordie Howe Sports Complex, including a track surface, speed skating oval, training center, Nordic ski facilities, and outdoor multi-purpose turf fields. Once the complex is completed, the $62 million undertaking will also serve the softball and baseball communities and house the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. It will serve as host for more than 25,000 annual events for nearly 70,000 athletes, coaches, officials, and volunteers, as well as more than 100,000 spectators. Johnny has also volunteered for the Canada Games, World Junior Hockey Championships, and the 2000 Brier in Saskatoon. He was named the 2016 Kinsman Sportsman of the Year. Please welcome Johnny Marciniak into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations, John. Thank you. And now welcome into the Builders category of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for his contributions to football, Al Mitchell. He saw the game of football from all angles. He took the snaps as a quarterback, called the plays as a coach, and kept the peace as an official, while paving the way for many others to also serve as officials. James Allen Mitchell was born in Estevan in 1947 and was an outstanding athlete, playing in the Northern Saskatchewan Baseball League from 1968 through 1978, winning a Canadian Senior Championship in '72 with the Unity Cardinals. He was also a part of the Western Canadian champion Torchinsky T-Birds in 1966 and spent more than 40 years between the pipes as a hockey goaltender. He coached minor baseball for 5 years in the city, and his experience as a football player also served him well as he moved into those coaching ranks. He led the E.D. Fian Trojans for 14 years at the Saskatoon high school level. But it would be blowing the whistle in a different capacity where he would have his greatest impact on the local and national sporting scene. Mitchell first began officiating football in 1990, and quickly became one of the most respected arbiters in the game. Locally, he served on the executive for the Saskatoon Football Officials Association from 1997 through 2015. He has held a similar post with the provincial body for officials since 2010. Al has also been the referee-in-chief for countless big games, including Senior Bowls. He has been a lead clinician, mentor, and trainer for clinics held in Saskatoon and has shared his skills around the province, presenting at clinics in Regina, Prince Albert, Tisdale, Rosetown, Outlook, and Big River. It wasn't just his keen eye that was in demand when the biggest games were being played in Canada. In addition to keeping the peace in games in British Columbia, Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, Al was tasked with assigning and coordinating league and playoff games for both Canada West and the PFC. Al also was a key contributor when it came time to judge the work of his colleagues. He provided both individual and crew performance assessments in key matchups in Western Canada. He was also the man in charge when it came to assessing and refining the rules of the game themselves, serving as the chair of the CFOA Rules Committee from 2011 through 2014. Al was front and center at a pair of Canada Cup events, In 2009, he served on the appeals committee and was the assigner and official supervisor. 5 years later, he took on even more as referee-in-chief, supervisor, assigner, and evaluator. He's been called on to work some of the biggest games in recent Canadian football history. At the university level, he has worked 3 Hardy Cups and 1 Churchill Bowl. And when the 2001 Vanier Cup was held in Toronto, he was the head referee. In addition to working multiple PFC championship games, he was also a part of CJFL Canadian Bowls in 1995, 2002, and 2011. Al has achieved the highest possible level certification from the Canadian Football Officials Association and became a CFOA Clinics Master Trainer and Evaluator in 2014. His vocal talents have also been in demand as he served as a television announcer for baseball at the 1989 Jeux Canada Games, track meet announcer for elementary school relays and Saskatchewan Senior Games, and announcer for the Saskatchewan Marathon and River Run Classic. Please welcome Al Mitchell into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Thanks for your work. Thank you. And now let's meet this year's inductees into the Athletes Wing. Welcome into the Athletes category of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for her contributions to triathlon, Fiona Cribb. She was an outstanding athlete in the fields of swimming and running, and when she added cycling to her resume, it wasn't long before she was heralded as Saskatchewan's first international star in triathlon, which combines all 3 events. Fiona was born in England in 1959, but grew up in Saskatoon. She showed an early interest in figure skating, gymnastics, speed skating, and swimming. She considers herself fortunate to have learned from one of the most legendary names in swimming, Harry Bailey, from the age of 9. Under Bailey, she was a member of the Goldfin swim team from 1967 through 1975. She excelled in the pool, representing Saskatchewan at the 1973 Canada Summer Games in the 400-meter IM and the 100 and 200-meter backstroke. Fiona was also on the Dalhousie University swim team from 1978 through 1980. She was just as competitive on dry land as a runner. A cross-country competitor, she came in 10th at the National Championships in 1973. 19 years later, at the National 10K Road Race Championships, she would finish 11th. She would add competitive cycling to her repertoire, and in 91 and 92, with Prairie Randonnier cycling, she took part in rides of 200, 300, and 400 kilometers. She put all 3 sports together, and her first triathlon experience came in 1988. It wasn't long before she was among the best. She finished first at a half Ironman in Spokane, Washington. At the 1990 Penticton Ironman triathlon, she was 11th among female competitors, but first among non-professionals and in the 30 to 34 age group. The following year, at the Ironman World Championships in Hawaii, Fiona came in 4th in that age group and was the 20th Canadian overall. 1991 also saw her take top spot at the provincial championships in Weyburn. Multiple top 10 finishes at Canadian events followed, including a first at both the Teleglobe Royal LePage event in Edmonton in 91 and the Canadian Triathlon Series Grand Prix in 92. Competing in the International Triathlon Union World Cup Series, she took part in several events, highlighted by a 4th place finish in Ixtapa in 1992. Her 1993 season included a 1st place finish at the NTT Triathlon in Japan. 4 different times, Fiona took part in the World Championships. While these events took her around the planet to Australia, the UK, and New Zealand, her top finish came on home soil, coming in 7th in Muskoka, Ontario. Although she never got the chance to have an Olympic experience, as triathlon wasn't added until after she retired, she competed at the 1994 Goodwill Games in St. Petersburg, Russia, finishing 13th. The sport would make its Pan Am Games debut in Argentina in 1995. Fiona was a star at the Games, winning an individual bronze medal and a team silver with Ontario's Kirsty Otto and Lisa Bentley. She went out on top, retiring from the national team and international competition that year. Among the honors she received during her career were the 1991 Sask Sport Female Athlete of the Year and a 2001 award as a Triathlon Canada Significant Contributor. She still takes part in local road racing, swimming, and triathlon events, most recently as part of a 2016 Regina Masters and Saskatoon Goldfinns Masters Swim Club event. Fiona has also become involved at an organizational level, holding several positions with the Saskatchewan Triathlon Association Board, including president. With Triathlon Canada, she has served on the board and as first vice president. She also was on the team selection committee in preparation for that Olympic debut for the sport in 1999. Fiona has also been the president of the Saskatoon Masters Swim Club and was race director for the Saskatoon River Run in 1988. Please welcome Fiona Cribb into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Now welcome into the athletes category of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for his contributions to football, Terry Laney. After starring at the high school and university level in Saskatoon, Terry made his way to the pro ranks out east and had some of his best performances when the biggest games were on the line. Terry was born in Saskatoon in 1959. He was an all-around athlete, competing as a wrestler, gymnast, diver, as a basketball and hockey player, and taking part in the Canada Games as part of Saskatchewan's water polo team. He also set the provincial record in the midget boys pole vault. But it was on the gridiron where he truly starred, first as a player in the Kinsman League with the Holts, before moving on to Aidan Bowman Collegiate, where he was coached by fellow inductee Dave King. In grade 10, he was the starting middle linebacker for the Bears. In his senior year, he led them to a city championship and a berth in the provincial finals, and was named team MVP. He stayed at home for his university career and continued to dominate for the Huskies, starting in his first year and winning Rookie of the Year. He also received the Don Powell Scholarship at the U of S, started all 5 seasons, and scored 2 touchdowns as a defensive back, while also playing hockey and water polo and competing in track. He also collected degrees in physical education and education. He wasn't done with football when his university career came to an end. In 1981, the Calgary Stampeders selected Terry in the 2nd round of the CFL draft. But his greatest success would come with a very good Hamilton Tiger Cats team. He was a key part of squads that made it to 3 straight Grey Cups from 1984 through 86. While the Tabbies lost those first 2 championship games, it would be a different story in 1986. After a 9-8-1 regular season, they met the Argonauts in the 2-game Total Point Eastern Final. Trailing by 19, Terry came up huge, spurring his team to victory. First, he caused Toronto's punter to commit a penalty. 2 plays later, Hamilton found the end zone. He then set up another major with an interception. The Cats would score twice more to win, 59-56. They advanced to the Grey Cup against their nemesis, the Edmonton Eskimos, a team they hadn't beaten in 8 years. They entered as 12-point underdogs, but shocked the football world, opening up a 29-0 lead by halftime, en route to a 39-15 win, Hamilton's first title since 1972, set up in large part by the efforts of Laney. Terry's CFL career lasted from 1982 through 1988, all in the East, as he also had stints with Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa. In 1986, he began a second career as a teacher in Ontario, which also led to coaching opportunities in basketball, hockey, volleyball, track, and of course football. He coached for 33 years, claiming multiple provincial championships in track and field, and 2 Ontario titles in football. He also remained involved with the professional team with which he spent most of his career, the Tiger Cats. Terry spent 5 years as the president of the team's alumni, raising money for a number of charitable causes. Please welcome Terry Laney into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Now welcome into the athletes category of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for her contributions to fencing, Donna Saworsky. For nearly 3 decades, Donna competed in fencing in local, national, and international events. She was among the best on the planet for many of those years. The exception came in 1998, when she stood alone as the very best, winning a world championship. She was born in Saskatoon in 1960 and was always active in a variety of sports. Her interest in pursuing new activities led her to attend fencing tryouts after seeing a flyer at the University of Saskatchewan. She was hooked and successful immediately. Although she was also studying chemical engineering at the same time, she quickly progressed in the sport under the master tutelage of the legendary Claude Seguin. Within a year of picking up the foil, she had her first title, winning the North Battleford Junior in 1980. She would go on to finish in the top 3 in several Saskatchewan events through the early part of the decade. Saworsky also claimed several pieces of hardware at the provincial championships. She took 3rd place at the 1980 women's foil in Kindersley, and as part of team foil, she finished 2nd in 1981 and took the top prize in 1984. By 1987, she had moved to Ontario to pursue her engineering career, but remained involved in fencing. In addition to foil events, she began competing in another discipline, saber. She was just as successful with the different blade in her hand, winning several Ontario tournaments. By the time the 90s rolled around, Donna had solidified her reputation as one of the strongest competitors in the nation. She took the bronze at her first national championship in saber in 1991 in Hamilton. The medals would come in a different color at the next several Canadian national events. In '93, she claimed her first gold at Laval, Quebec. The following year in Montreal, she repeated the feat with another saber national gold. The 1995 national event would hold extra significance for Saworsky, as she was able to compete in her hometown of Saskatoon. Her performance in front of family and friends wouldn't disappoint, as she claimed her 3rd national title. By the end of the decade, standing at the top of the podium had become almost old hat, as she was also the top competitor in '96, '97, '99, and 2000. Third-place finishes would follow in 2002 and 2006 at the age of 45. Her first taste of international competition came in 1997. The following year, she traveled to Kuala Lumpur to compete at the Commonwealth Games, where she was also selected to be the flag bearer for Team Canada at the fencing event. In women's team saber, she came in third. A month and a half later, she was off to Switzerland for the biggest event of her career. 1998 was the debut year for women's saber at the World Championship level, and Donna carved her way through the competition to claim a spot in the finals at Le Chaux de Fonds, Switzerland. The final was a tight affair against Kelly Williams of the United States. Eventually, the score was tied at 14 in the competition in which the winner was the first fencer to reach 15 points. Saworsky was able to block the Americans' attack and scored the final touch to become the first ever world champion in women's saber. The following year, while competing at a tournament, Donna suffered a partial tear of the ACL in her left knee. She continued to train and compete, but the injury didn't heal well. She elected to have reconstructive surgery in 2001, but remained focused on competing, even training while seated in a chair. She regained her spot on the national team, which she held until her retirement in 2008. Before her career ended, she added another medal on the international stage with a second-place finish in the team saber event at the 2006 Pan Am Championships. Along the way, in addition to competing, she has helped run several fencing events. This has included setup, scoring, and judging, as well as serving as secretary-treasurer for the Saskatchewan Fencing Association. She is regarded as a pioneer in the discipline of saber, helping it gain mainstream acceptance as a women's competition. Please welcome Donna Saworsky into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Donna. Thank you. Now welcome into the athletes category of the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for his contributions to rowing, Jake Wetzel. A versatile athlete who seemed able to master every sport he tried, Jake became among the best in the world when he took up rowing, winning 3 world titles and a pair of Olympic medals. He was born in Saskatoon in 1976. By the early 90s, he was a dominant athlete, but not in the sport for which he would achieve his greatest fame. As a fencer, he competed at the '91 Canada Winter Games. 4 years later, he returned to the Games as a cross-country skier, and he was on the provincial mountain biking team and Canadian National Junior Road Cycling team. Oh, and he also took part in ultra-marathon running and ski mountaineering. It was following a move to Victoria, where he was training as a cyclist, that he took a Learn to Row program. He was a quick learner. By 1997, home was at the University of California, Berkeley, where he was on the rowing team from 1998 to 2002. As a Golden Bear, he took first in the Frosh 8 race, followed by 3 straight 8 Intercollegiate Rowing Association championships. In 1998, he was named to the Canadian national team. That year, he was part of a men's pair team that recorded the best ever result for Canada at Worlds with a 7th place finish. He was also a member of the Canadian 8 squad that claimed first at the World Cup in Lucerne, Switzerland. As a dual citizen, he was also eligible to compete for the United States and was on the American national team in 1999-2000. His U.S. Coxed 4 team won a world championship in St. Catharines, Ontario in '99. Jake's first Olympic experience came in 2000 in Sydney, Australia. His United States quad team came in 7th at the Games. He would return to the Canadian team in 2002, and the results only improved. 2003 was an incredible year. Jake was on a coxless 4 team with Saskatoon's Cam Berg and Thomas Hirschmiller and Barney Williams from BC that took first at an event in London, England. That year, the quartet would compete in the World Cup in Lucerne and once again claimed the top spot. That set the stage for the World Championships in Milan, where once again they came in first. In 2004, the team again won at the World Cup, this time in Munich. It was on to the Olympics, which were being staged in Athens, Greece. After finishing first in their heat and semifinal races, they advanced to the final. The race was a nail-biter, with Canada just being edged at the finish line by Great Britain by 8/100ths of a second, giving Canada the silver. Wetzel's international experience took a different turn in 2006. He competed for Oxford Crew while completing his master's degree in financial economics in England. This allowed him to compete in and win the annual Oxford versus Cambridge race on the River Thames, among other events. By 2007, he was a member of a highly successful Canadian 8 squad. Competing at a World Cup event in Lucerne, he returned to the top of the podium with a first-place finish. The hardware collection grew at that year's World Championships in Munich. Once again, Canada came out on top. Jake's final Olympic appearance came at the Beijing Games in 2008, and what an event that would be. After dominating their heat, they advanced to the final, and he would get a measure of revenge against Great Britain, as Canada beat them by 1.22 seconds to claim the gold. As a member of that Canadian 8 crew, Jake was inducted into the Canadian Olympic Hall of Fame and the BC Sports Hall of Fame. He is also in the University of California Athletic Hall of Fame, and in 2016 was named the Pac-12 Conference's Men's Rower of the Century. He is one of just 4 people to have twice received the Saskatoon Kinsman Athlete of the Year, being honored in 2004 and 2008. Please welcome Jake Wetzel into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. And now let's meet this year's inductees into the team category. Please welcome into the team category the 2012 and 2014 Merle Kopak Master Women's Curling teams. Representing the teams on stage is Merle Kopak. With 175 years combined experience on curling sheets, when Ray Wilson, Linda Delver, Audrey Crossan, and Merle Kopak joined forces in 2012, they were unstoppable. 2 years later, they were again the best in the country when Janet Rooks joined the lineup. The Masters category is for competitors who are over the age of 60. Kopak, originally from Prince Albert, had twice skipped teams at the provincial Scotties tournament. She assembled her team out of the Granite Club in Saskatoon. Her second was Delver, who won the 1995 Provincial Mixed Championship. The third was Crossan, who had participated at 6 senior provincial championships. Rounding out the squad was the lead Wilson, who came in with 37 years of curling experience. The 2012 Provincial Senior Championship was held in Whitewood, and the Kopak rank won the big prize, punching their ticket to the Canadian Championship in Boucherville, Quebec. In round-robin play at Nationals, they won their first 6 games before dropping 2 in a row to Northern Ontario and New Brunswick. They finished with a win against Alberta to go 7-2 and advance to the playoffs. In their semifinal, they had a rematch against that Northern Ontario squad and got some sweet revenge with a 5-2 win. That set up a match with Ontario for the title, and Team Saskatchewan fell behind early. Trailing 4-2 heading into the fifth end, they would tally 3 to take the lead. They would then add 4 more in the seventh and 1 going away. The final score 9-5 to give Saskatchewan the Canadian championship. In 2013, the team would make it back-to-back provincial championships and came in third at nationals. The following season saw a lineup change as Janet Rooks brought her 41 years of experience to the team and took over as lead. The Kopak rank made it 3 straight Saskatchewan championships with a win in Weyburn over Lee Morrison. Nationals were staged in Coaldale, Alberta, and the round robin didn't go exactly as planned. They went 2-4 through their first 6 matches, but then won their final 3 to force a tiebreaker against Alberta, which they won 6-5. They advanced to take on BC in the semifinal, and they again trailed 4-2 going into the 7th, but scored 2 and added 2 more in the 8th to win 6-4. The final saw them match up against Ontario, a team that had beaten them 8-4 in round-robin play. This time the match was close and low-scoring, at least in the early going. But Team Kopak broke open the 1-1 game with 4 in the 4th end. They held on for a 7-5 win over the Diana Favel rink to claim their 2nd national championship in 3 years. Third, Audrey Crossan took home extra hardware, receiving the Sportsmanship Award. Unfortunately, Audrey passed away after losing her battle with cancer in 2018. Please welcome the 2012 and 2014 Merle Kopak Canadian Masters Women's Curling Championship teams into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Introducing the team members, on stage, Merle Kopak. Representing the 3rd, Audrey Crossan, is her husband, Francis. 2nd, Linda Delver. And lead, Ray Wilson. And now we'll do it again with the 2014 team. Skip, Merle Kopak. Get twice the hardware. Once again, Francis representing Audrey Crossan. 2nd, Linda Delver. And the lead, Janet Rooks. And now please welcome into the team category the 2005 Optimist Twirling Connection World Team. Representing the team on stage are Kelly Towris and Brianne Tennant. Led by coach Brenda Bennett, athletes Casey Barry Napper, Stephanie Hart Hall, Beth Coster, Haley Olver, Charnel Shea, Brianne Tennant, and Kelly Towris twirled their way to being among the best in the country, and in 2005 stood on the podium when they competed in the World Championships. All 7 athletes were born in Saskatoon, and as a new millennium dawned, they were outstanding in individual and pairs events. And when their hometown was selected to host the World Championships in 2002, it helped provide the inspiration for the squad to reach international team glory. Hart and Napper had previously teamed to win an international silver at the 2000 World Championships in junior pairs under Bennett's guidance. By 2004, 6 of the competitors had earned the right to represent Canada in the team division when the World Championships were held in Japan. They would go on to finish 5th at the international event. The team added Koster the following year, and the results only improved. In April, the provincial team trials were held on home turf in Saskatoon, setting the stage for the national team trials in Edmonton 3 months later. The team, now known as Once Upon a Time, dominated in the preliminaries, finishing with 70.6667 points, 18 ahead of the closest competition. In the final, the margin of victory was 15 points, punching the team's ticket for the World Championships in Minnesota. And when the spotlight shined the brightest on the world stage, 18-year-old Barry, 17-year-old Hart, Koster, who was 22, Olver and Tennant, the youngsters at 16, and 17-year-old Shea and Taurus, along with Bennett, rose to the challenge. When all was said and done, they finished in 3rd place, behind only Japan and the United States, to claim an international bronze medal. The squad was also named the Saskatchewan Baton Twirling Association's Team of the Year. Please welcome the 2005 Optimist Twirling Connection World Once Upon a Time team into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. We've met Kelly Towers and Brianne Tennant. Now let's meet the rest of the team members. Casey Barry Napper. Stephanie Hart Hall. Haley Olver. Charnel Shea, represented by her cousin, Sydney Condon. And the coach, Brenda Bennett. Beth Koster wasn't able to join us tonight. Let's have one more hand for all of tonight's inductees.
And let's have a hand for Simon. Wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you, Simon. The response from the inductees tonight will be given by Dave King. Dave? Thank you, man. How are you? Good.
Thank you very much. First thing I want to say is when I listen to all the accomplishments of these people, it's a very humbling experience. Just some amazing athletes, some amazing builders, and it once again kind of points out that there's a lot of good things happening in sport in Saskatoon, and a lot of it is due to the fact that the volunteerism in our city probably is second to none in Canada. We've got so many volunteers out here tonight that are so involved in so many activities that it's very impressive. It's a great place to live. It's an unbelievable city, and I want to talk a little bit about that idea. I think per capita in Canada, no city has sports facilities for our kids and adults and everyone to appreciate and to use as Saskatoon does. And when you get good sports facilities, it really does help people participate and get out and stay fit. And I think I had the opportunity this year or a year ago to be involved in the Merle Belcher fundraising project. And I got to tell you, the city of Saskatoon and Charlie Clark as the mayor, I was so impressed with their ability to come up with partnerships like they did with the Merle Belcher Place, where they supported the university's funding, their funding, along with volunteers out there raising so much money that it was a very successful project. And that project just showed me one thing. from those kind of things, teamwork develops. A lot of good friendships occur, and it just speaks volumes for Saskatoon. To be able to speak on behalf of the inductees is a real privilege. Everyone here has a unique story, and lots of different avenues, lots of different things they had to overcome. But we do also share some commonalities, or some things that we all have to go through to kind of make some success of ourselves in sport. One of them, I think, is sacrifice. And obviously these people sacrificed a great deal to achieve what they did. But I was just, as I was sitting here, I was thinking not about accomplishments. I was thinking about all the people that helped us along the way, whether it be fellow athletes, coaches, mentors, parents, friends. There's a lot of people in the background that did a lot of work for these athletes and these builders to be successful. And the one thing you have to understand is those people made a lot of sacrifices. There's a lot of wives, husbands, and kids out there that their parents were busy doing a lot of things for other people. So behind the scenes, all of us in this group, yes, we made sacrifices, but our people around us made great sacrifices to allow us to be successful and enjoy sport as we did. I think all of us in this group here would say one thing: if you're going to be good at anything in sport, you're going to face some adversity. And that's one of the great lessons of sport for all of us, is that you do learn to overcome some bumps in the road. You know, the road to success is always under construction. That's an old expression, and it's so true. I mean, to be good at anything, you've got to be able to bounce back from difficulties. And it was interesting to look at the results from some of the people where they, one year might have finished 5th or 6th, the next year they won it. Obviously, they've taken that adversity and not winning it and made it work for them. So I think we all share that. We've all learned to overcome adversity. And that, again, is kind of one of the life lessons of being involved in sport, is that we all know how to dig in. When the going gets tough, we find a way, and we dig in and we find some solutions. And so that's one of the great values of sport, is you learn to become stronger. And a lot of that's mental strength, but it really works. I think all of us, too, I would suggest, probably has experienced what I call a power of a moment. The power of a moment. It's just something along your career. Somebody might have said something to you. It might have been a coach, a mentor, a fellow competitor. But somebody said something to you that resonated. It made you understand, maybe I can be pretty good at this. And a power of a moment makes a great difference. And I think if we all look back in our careers, we had situations where we experienced those kind of things. It might have been the result of a little event that suddenly made us understand and resonate with us, that, again, with some more effort and with some more sacrifice, we could probably get things done and achieve some things. We also, as a group, I'm sure these people would all agree that talent is not enough. It's great to have talent, it's great to have skill, but for these people, one thing came out loud and clear for me with all the inductees was attitude, drive, passion for what they were doing. These are the things that made them so good. They were stubborn with a purpose, and that's called determination. And that's why they were so successful and achieved so much. And again, another great life lesson for all of us to get from sport. A lot of people say a lot of things about sport, how it's good for us, and it is. It keeps us fit. It, as was alluded to by some pretty influential people here, it got them out of trouble, kept them in school, things like that. So sport really is an important part of our culture, and I think there's a lot of value to sport. And sometimes, we hear stories in sport that aren't so good, but there's a lot of untold great stories that do exist. And this group of people tonight being inducted is a real good feel-good story. These people have great memories, they have great friendships. All of us have got some terrific lifelong lessons. And I think the one thing that's really important for all of us, and I'm sure, and they've done it more than I have, for sure, is they're putting back into their sport. They're not just satisfied with trophies on the wall and plaques hanging there. They want to give something back to the sport that was so good to them. So on behalf of all the inductees, I'd like to thank again the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame for a wonderful night. This is a pretty impressive night here with all kinds of good things. It's well organized and well done. I'd like to thank all the dignitaries for being here and sharing this with us. And again, I think it makes us all very proud to be from Saskatoon. It's a great city, and you know, when you leave it, sometimes you look back and say, gee, you know, it's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place to go to school. And as I look around the room, I've seen a lot of people I know from my years here, and certainly thank you very much for coming out tonight to support us. And the 2019 inductee group is a pretty impressive group, and it was terrific to be here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dave. Well said. Thank you. We're going to leave here very shortly, but as Dave said, when Simon was reading the citations, a lot of us just said, wow, we had no idea that this person, well, Don, I'll be honest with you, you were one. Like, how come it took so long? You should have been up here long before 2019. We were just, Terry, I mean, what you did in the, you know, Aiden Bowman and so on, and with the Huskies, but better yet in the CFL, and even better after, like Dave said. I mean, you were an educator, and you brought kids along in schools, and you made a great mentor for the CFL. You gave back. You were with the Hamilton Ticats alumni, and it looks like the Ticats and the Riders are going to meet in a couple, 3 weeks here. Then what jersey are you going to wear? No, that's good. I mean, we had some great officials. Al, thank you. I mean, you've done so much in this city for Edie Fian to start with, and then on the football field, and mentored 5 officials in CFL. I mean, that is given back. And thank you for all that you have done. Fiona, you also. I remember growing up in the city, I wasn't that old yet, with Harry Bailey and swimming, because that's where you got your real start with the Goldfins, and then look what happened to your career with triathlon. I mean, you and Lori must just look back and just relish those days and where triathlon has come from when you started and with the Goldfins. Johnny, thank you for all your work in the city. I mean, the Greater Saskatoon Catholic School Division was better for you. You led the health of our young people in those schools, and then what you did on the foundation of Gordie Howe Bowl. I mean, I laughed when you guys had that vision. I've been in sports a long time in this city. I've been in many boardrooms where we argued back and forward. It can't be done. You guys took the can't and made it can, and you did it. And it was just, look at this facility. Like Dave said, we have one of the world-class facilities now, not only in this country, but in the world. And our youth in this city is going to be better for it. That place is jammed with different sports, healthy lifestyles, and it's all because of the vision of your group. It's just wonderful. And someday I would really like the Hall of Fame there. And I know it will happen. We'll have announcements as we go forward on that, but you know, that's a wonderful facility. We've really moved, and Dave, you talked on it with Merle Belcher. I don't want to talk. It was interesting because the mid-1970s, when Dave and Bob Strum were going to Billings, they asked me to go along as the play-by-play guy, or just a kind of a coordinator of the Billings Bighorns. And I think often, what would have happened? You stayed 2 years, the team folded, it moved on, you moved on. But if I would have moved to Billings with you guys, I don't know where I'd be today. So thanks for that opportunity. And it's probably smarter, right, Linda, that I said no. But no, that was great. And Dale, you too. I mean, wrestling, giving back into the community. You've spent 40+ years as a wrestling official and taking part at Walter Murray and the Huskies and so on. So thank you. I mean, just a wonderful nomination. Some of the officials need to be nominated in this city. We had a couple here tonight that were long overdue. You know, Lawrence, I talked to you about 10 years ago, I think it was, you got the Darren Lipinski Award And here you are today going into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Softball is big in this city for people like you. You have made it a world-class city for softball. And people like you, I mean, you guys bought 11 tables here tonight. 11 tables. Yeah, thank you. Again, thanks, Lawrence, for giving back. Jake, yeah, I mean, I remember the Canadians winning in Beijing there. I think it was about 11 o'clock at night because of the time change. What a moment for us to win gold. You've been all over the world. Thank you. I remember you and Cameron getting together and do wonderful things on the river here. Your hair has grown out a little bit since then, so you haven't changed much. You're a free spirit guy, and thank you for coming back and sharing the rowing success of your career and the careers that we've had here in this province. We've been a pretty good rowing community, sending many, many Canadians on, and it's for people like you. So you've done that. Merle, me and you go back a long way, of course, with curling. Thank you. Your rinks were great in 2012 and 14. You personally have done wonders for curling in this province, you and your rinks. Thank you very much. We often overlook Masters. We should never, because it's probably, I think Masters now is tougher than the Canadians. You have those rinks that have so many years of experience. And when you look at the master competition or in the senior competition right now, many times they're way, way tougher than the lassies. And so, you know, thank you for all the years you put in at the curling club. Curling is a great sport. And of course, to Kelly and Brianne, and along with Brenda and all the young women that represented our country and our city very well in 2005, thank you. You know, you really put us on the map that year. And to your parents, who, it wasn't cheap that year. It's funny because Brian, your dad, Kelly, had to work very hard for you to travel the world. Yeah, no, Brenda, you good. And all 7 were born here in Saskatoon, even better when you went on to win. So thank you very much. Isn't this a wonderful class? 2019, give them one more applause, yeah. And Donna, again, thank you for coming back. What you did in fencing is just wonderful. That 98 world title is just great. So that brings us to the conclusion. I just want to say the DVDs are going to be available. So if you'd like a DVD of tonight's presentation, put your name down in the back. Shaw will have it ready shortly. And the nomination forms are in the back. You can go to our website, SaskatoonSportsHallOfFame.com. And of course, the newsletter will have more information, and we'll be back here next year at the same time. So on behalf of the board and Dana, thank you for stepping up. You and your board have done a wonderful job once again this year with the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. So with protocol, I'm going to ask you to please rise for the departure tonight of the Vice Regal Party. And thank you. Take care. Thank you for coming. Thank you to the Honorable Russ Marasti, Lieutenant Governor of the province, and Her Honor Donna Marasti. Thank you. And I want to thank the rest of the dignitaries for taking time tonight to join us and to celebrate our award winners tonight. Thank you very, very much for coming out once again. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. You can kind of mull around and talk to some of our inductees if you want. So on behalf of the Saskatoon board, thank you for coming out to the Sports Hall of Fame here tonight. Thank you again. Good night.